there in TV land.
This is Mother and Son.
Live on TV.
What's today?
Today is Valentine's Day. It is a day of hearts, of passion,
Of broken hearts.
of yes, broken hearts.
So February 14th
of 2020.
20.
I'm about to say 2019. I keep forgetting that we're now in 2020. Well, you probably are not used to seeing us on TV like this. It's not really TV, really. It's YouTube or / video. It's just video land. It's not TV.
Tombland.
Tubeland. Sounds a little disturbing. So, you probably, some of the, I cannot speak today, but some of you guys are probably from our podcast series. We started a while back, maybe almost a year ago, but not quite. So some of you are from that. Others of you are from our new. Some of you guys are probably just clicking onto this video. Maybe you've heard about us. Maybe a friend told you about us. Or maybe you just were. Maybe it's 3 in the morning.
Choosing different things.
3 in the morning, and you two decide to recommend this to you. Maybe the Lord showed you this, and who knows. But we're gonna go and just explain anyways what's going on. If you've already know what we're gonna talk about, well, you know what, for everybody, because we got kind of maybe a little bit of a new agenda.
Maybe not. We won't share it quite yet.
But
very soon.
So, let's start fresh. My name is Noah Ovikian. This is my mom.
Kim Ovikian.
And this is kind of a series where we reach out to other people. I don't really know,
that are struggling with either they are or their loved ones are dealing with mental illness or suicide. Yeah.
So, our story is, we have to start from the beginning. So, on November 1st, 2018, my dad and
my husband
committed suicide. He he was a concealed gun carrier. He always loved his guns. And he'd been really struggling. It was really interesting, actually, for the past few months, and interject anything you want to, but for the past few months, he'd been really struggling badly. And he
was struggling with a lot of anxiety, describing it as crawling out of his skin.
And feeling like he was choking. It was really bad. There's just been some stuff going on in our family, and we'll get more into that. But he just was really struggling. He seemed like he was doing better, though. He seemed like after these 2 hard months, it was during the summer, he seemed like he finally turned a corner and was doing better. And
it seemed like more of like the last 2 weeks of his life, he was doing better.
Yeah, a lot better. But then he, November 1st rolled around, the day after Halloween. I remember looking at him, and in the morning we were getting, because what I would do is I'd get up, get my breakfast ready, and he'd get up. Him and I would kind of get up at the same, well, not get up at the same time, but me and him would eat breakfast at the same time, and he'd eat his cereal, and I would get my eggs together, and get my cereal together, whatever I ate, and he didn't look good to me. He looked like he'd been crying. His eyes, looked red, and and there's a song that was playing. It was Christmas. We like to play Christmas music early, and so we were playing this song, and the song was "Silent Night" by
Dean Martin.
And the weirdest thought popped in my head. You know, what if Dad commits suicide? You know, because of this song. And it was the weirdest thought that popped in my head. And it was like, why would I think that, you know? But I remember asking him, are you doing okay? Because I saw him and he didn't look, and he said, yeah, I'm doing fine. So he went downstairs, got ready, and I know you noticed something when he went downstairs.
Yeah, so we were both brushing our teeth, and I just remember him. I don't recall the same thing Noah remembered, which was his eyes being red. He seemed normal as usual. I was definitely on high alert. I mean, for the past 2 months, because anytime he did something different out of his schedule, I was just like, okay, is he gonna commit suicide? What's going on?
And I'll let you know, suicide was not a new thing. It wasn't like he had never talked about suicide, and this is the very first time, like, he had talked about committing suicide for
most of our marriage, but not constantly. It was more like
sporadically, yeah.
Like once in every 5 or 10 years or something. Anyway, so...
And he'd get pretty serious about it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't like like a joking way or kind of oh, maybe I shouldn't be me. It was suicide. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be here. You guys are better off without me. You know, that intensity. In fact, he broke down in front of us during the summer and cried and just was like, I shouldn't be, you guys are better off without me. You know, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah. So anyway, we were brushing our teeth, and then I just noticed him breathing in deeply with his eyes closed and breathing out deeply, and I just it bothered me. It really, really bothered me. But I know he also just recently started trauma therapy, and I had asked him the night before how it went, because he went to his therapist the night before, who even asked him if he was having any plans to kill himself, and he said no. And if he did, he was going to go to the hospital. And so I asked him, earlier, how that went, and he was like, oh, it was hard, but we'll talk about it over the weekend, because we had plans to go up north and have the weekend together, staying in a lodge. And
the weekend, because November 1st was Friday, and so and he went on a Thursday, right?
November 1st was a Thursday, and we were going to go
on the Friday.
The following day.
Sorry.
No. So I saw him breathing, and I wanted to ask him, are you doing okay? But I also didn't want to I tend to ask him that a lot, so I just wanted to give him the space and not say anything, and so I didn't. But it did bother me for sure, and even throughout the day, it bothered me, and I even texted him and was like, I love you, I'm praying for you, and he responded back, very positively with exclamation points, which my husband is not an exclamation point type of guy, so that bothered me a little bit.
It was almost like he was overcompensating for something. It's like, if you ever text somebody and maybe you're mad at somebody, but you don't want to come across like you're mad at them, so you're like, put extra exclamation points and like, oh yeah, everything's great, and to overcompensate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that happened. And so, day goes by, and then comes evening, and Mom takes me to my Bible study, and then I will tell the story. I'll let you tell the story from there, and then
to tell the story,
and then
you'll tell the story
from my point of view.
So I drive into the driveway around like 7:15.
And after she had dropped me off from the Bible study, right after. And
I had, in the past, dropped Noah off at the Bible study, the same location, around that time. And then my husband and I would show up around the same time, and he was not home. So immediately I start panicking, thinking, what's happened? He's killed himself. Oh my word, I can't believe it. But the one thing he would always tell me throughout my marriage was I was more of an extreme person. So I fought in extremes, and so I was just being extreme. And I was being over dramatic, and it, nothing happened. It was just, he got delayed. So I tried to calm myself down, and I thought, you know what, I'll go take a shower, because that will kind of get my mind off of it, and then I'll be done with my shower, and he'll come home, and everything will be fine. So I took my shower, really, really hoping that was going to be the case, but kind of in my heart knew it wasn't going to be the case. And got done with my shower and ran outside, ran to the garage. Car was still not there. So I came in and called his best friend and asked him if he had talked to him, because 2 weeks before that, Thomas had, out of the ordinary, ended up going and seeing his best friend Peter,
to get some kind of,
just to talk about things, because he was really struggling, because he was just dealing with depression, hoping it would get better, and it hadn't, and he didn't understand why, and he just needed to be encouraged. So he went, which is just totally out of the ordinary with him. So I just knew things were just going on that were not normal. So I called him, his best friend Peter, and said, hey, have you talked to Thomas today? And he was like, no, I haven't. Why? And I said, because he has not showed up at home yet, and he would normally be home by now. And he was like, oh, he's working out, I'm sure he's doing this or that. And I'm like, no, I know my husband. That's not the case. So he was going to go to where he normally went and worked out. And
he thought.
Yeah.
Because he actually ended up going to the wrong location.
Yeah. So I went ahead and also called the police and said, hey, my husband has not showed up at home yet. I'm really worried. So they said, they would, check it out, and then they would,
the workout place where he usually works out.
That, or I don't know. They were just gonna.
Did you tell them where the place where he usually?
I don't remember. But they just said they would, research it and then get back to me. And they had said they were going to come to my house. But the one thing I noticed was it took them a really, really, really long time to get to the house, and that bothered me, because they live like 5 minutes from my house. Or no, the police are 5 minutes from my house. So finally, I'm like at the door, and they finally show up, and it's like 3 or 4 police cars. One of them is
undercover cop car.
Yeah, and so right there, I was just like, this cannot be good. And so they come in, and I look at the one police officer, and I said, did you find him? And he just shook his head very sadly, looked down, and said, I'm sorry, your husband's dead. And, and then he asks if I want a chaplain to come, and I mean, seriously, at that point, I was like, I don't know what I want right now. I mean, I just don't know what I want. Noah was still at his Bible study, and...
When did they tell you Dad committed suicide?
I mean, pretty much right when they walked in the door, and I asked, have you heard from him?
That's when they, because they said your husband is dead. Did they say he committed suicide? Or did you just kind of assume?
I assumed, I think, but I think
it was.
I can't even remember. I just don't even remember. But
right, and I don't mean to seem pushing or anything.
No,
because I mean the whole thing was a big fog of just awfulness.
Yeah. So then, I think after that, Peter called and was like, I don't even remember what he said. I don't remember if he said he was at the place or what he was on the phone.
And Peter, by the way, is the friend that she called.
So he was on the phone, and then I was like, I think he was saying he couldn't find him or something, and I was like, he's dead. He's dead. And he was like, what? No. And I'm like, no, he's dead. He killed himself. He's dead. And so then he's like, oh, I'm coming. And so then before I knew it, they came and other people came and like all these people came. And then I talked to Thomas, my husband's, oldest sister, and she didn't come, but then the brother came, and anyway, it was just, oh my word. And the chaplain came, and then my daughter, our daughter was in basic training in Missouri, so then I'm trying to figure out how in the world to reach her, because with basic training you have to it's
a complicated system.
Yeah, you have to go through Red Cross to contact them, and so anyway, yeah, and anyway, and then through the middle of all that, then Noah finally arrived. Well, no. So through the middle of all this, then I'm texting his Bible study leader, and I'm
that's where maybe I'll tell the story.
Go for it.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're not.
So, she then is texting the Bible study leader. So, we'll rewind to where I first go to the Bible study. So I arrived there, and I go to the Bible study, and we do our usual. It's not really a ritual, we do some dancing around the fire or something, but we just do our usual stuff. And then it comes to the end of the Bible study, and actually, one of the funny thing is, one of my prayers was a thank you prayer that Dad seemed to be doing better, and I didn't know at the time what happened. I had no clue. And I just thought he was doing better. So, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, anyway, time goes away, and, I couldn't drive then, so I had to wait for my parents to come pick me up, and so my mom had to drop me off. And, I'm waiting. And I noticed Mom's not showing up. And, so I'm like, oh, who knows? Maybe she's just running late. Time passes. She still hasn't shown up. It becomes 5 minutes, becomes 10 minutes, and 10 minutes becomes 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, something's going on. But I just thought, what? I bet you Mom and Dad are just talking about something. Probably okay. Well, she sends Jake a text. And I see him, he's messing with his phone. But I don't know, he messes with his phone. Who knows who he's texting, what he's doing. Maybe he's looking at a video or something. So then as people keep going away, finally he has to bring Logan home. And then he talks to me and says, Noah, your mom's just said there's, been, I don't know, he says there's been a family emergency.
I did text him that there was a family emergency, so.
I think he didn't say it like that, actually, in front of me. I remember. He just said, hey, your mom just asked me to bring you home, he said. So, and he has to also bring home, I think I just said this, but he has to bring home another friend of mine. His name's Logan. So he brought Logan home first, and me and Logan don't live that far. So he brought Logan home first, and then me and him, we drove to the Bible study, to our house. And he said, and I think I felt fine. I couldn't tell if I felt well while we were driving, or no, actually before we left the house. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm sure right now you're probably all confused. So let me just rewind. So we're still at the Bible study. Logan gets into the car, and so do I, and then Jake and we're about to leave. I get a text from Michael, and I get my phone, and I look, and it says, he just says, I am so sorry. I love you so much. And I'm very confused at this point. And I'm like, oh, Michael must have run away from home. So I'm like, well, that sucks, but we'll deal with it. I don't know. I just, So that's what I'm thinking. And boy, was I in for a surprise. We end up dropping off Logan, And then Jake is like, I tell Jake the text I got, and Jake's like, yeah, your mom said there was a family emergency. So I'm like, oh yeah, Michael must have run from home. He just feels bad, so he's texting me. And I'm like, well, I'll just probably talk to him, get him to come back home. It'll be no big deal. Right? Well, we'll see. So, I just get this sinking feeling in my stomach, though, as we keep driving closer. I, again, have the thought of Dad committing suicide, although I had thought about it earlier that morning, and that's the crazy thing. I didn't even think about it that night. That wasn't like I thought about it. Even though I thought about it that morning, it didn't cross my mind when we were driving. I just, it's like I thought about it, but there was a part of me that deep down knew he wouldn't do that. Right? Well, we end up driving, and I actually don't see police cars. At first, I didn't notice them. And probably they do that on purpose, probably because they're all dark.
Well, they're not even parked in front of our house. They're parked in front of other people's houses.
But I see my aunt and uncle's car. And I thought, it has to do with Michael. It's like, I feel like it's like Scrooge, where, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie called Scrooge, where it's like the ghost of Christmas past comes down, and he goes down, and it's like, oh, my brother died. Oh, that's terrible. He doesn't know full, then when he realizes it's himself, and he's like, what? No! And, and I feel like that. It's like, oh, Michael ran away. Oh, yeah, gee, that's too bad. But I get this really bad feeling, and I see, so me and Jake, we park in front of our driveway. We pull up into the driveway, me and him get out, and I see you come out. And I could tell you've been crying, you've been upset. And then you said, hey, but you seem fine. You said it. You seem like, oh, hey, just come upstairs. So I thought, oh, my things must have been worked out, and everything's fine. I walk up the stairs, Jake opens the door for me, and I walk in, and it's just silent. Dead silent. And I see everybody just looks so sad. And the policeman, I see 2 policemen. And of course, when I see policemen, my heart just drops to my stomach, because not like I've done anything bad, just the history we've had with family crisis and stuff with my sister. But and I look and I see my uncle look up, and he's just like, hey, and just real softly, and you could just tell there's something. He's just not doing good. And it is just dead silent. The chaplain's there, everybody's just quiet, and I sit down on the couch next to you. This couch, this very couch. And you actually patted it down for me. You kind of just, you motioned for me to come sit down. So I sit down, and Jake sits next to me. You're at my, if I remember, you're at my right. Jake's at my left. Yeah, Jake's at my left. You're at my right. I'm in the center. And I look at me, straight square in the eye, and you say, Noah, your father didn't make it home tonight. He killed himself. I'm sorry. I couldn't believe it. He did it. After years of promising he wouldn't, after, claiming that he loved us, after all of this, he did it. He pulled the trigger. And I just sat there. My mouth gaped open, and I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I probably sat there for 10 minutes just doing nothing. I didn't know what to think. And that's my story. That's what happened. And more friends came over. And it was a rough night. A very rough night. I still have the texts from Michael. I can look at them right now. And every time...
Do you still have texts from Dad?
I do have texts from Dad. We pull that right now. These, he didn't text me very much, but the text that I do have from Dad, they're from a long time ago. If I just scroll all the way down. of texts. Oh, here we go. Last text I got from him was 8/24/2018. It was 3 months before he killed himself. And I was showing him my ringtone, because my text ringtone, because it was Patrick. He was making one of the episodes on SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob, by the way. And we actually just got 100. My mom, my awesome mom, got me 100 of the first. I'm not sponsoring SpongeBob right now, but got 100 first episodes of SpongeBob for me, and I was just like, oh, it's the best gift. I've been watching it. Watched a little too much of it, actually. But anyways, my dad loved Patrick. He always would, kind of mimic his voice and stuff. Dad did a great job at that. And one of the things that the text is Patrick going, lee, 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 like that. It is this episode where they're on a ghost ship. It was the Flying Dutchman's ghost ship. And like Patrick's driving, and they like have their ghostly cry, and that's Patrick's. And so I thought, oh, Dad would love this. And so I made it my ringtone, and I was like, okay, Dad, send me a text. And he said, hi, Noah. That was his text. And that would be the very last text he would ever send me.
It was in August.
That was in August at 4:18 p.m.
I think that was a few days before his first appointment with Weingarten.
And Weingarten was his psychiatrist, not the therapist, but the psychiatrist, which there's all kinds of stuff. We actually didn't have too many texts on this phone. I had gotten this phone actually in 2018. I had a flip phone before, and I was tired of it. I know, I should have upgraded a long time ago, but now I've got an SE, which I know people are like, oh, you got an SE, and you have a new iPhone with, 3 stinking cameras. Seriously. There's an iPhone with 3 stinking cameras. And to me, I think that's a ripoff. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, that's my point. It's not iPhones. My point is Dad. Anytime I have to talk about Dad like that and have to go in that, it always brings me back to that place and that time and the feelings I felt. And, I just, it was awful. It was so terrible. Mm-hmm. But we made it through. And that's the point of this series. The point is to talk about the stuff we go through and show how we make it through. One of the biggest things, though, I think people struggle with is being honest and being real. A lot of people out there like to mask how they feel and put on a fake show just to prove that everything's okay when it's not. Mm-hmm. And that's something we're not going to do. Yes, we're going to make sure everything looks nice, as in the lighting, the sound. But we're not going to hold back. This is it. This is us. This is the real thing you're going to be looking at. It's going to get emotional at times. It's going to be anger at times. There's going to be happiness at times, joy. And all of that is okay and normal, because that's part of the grieving process. And for those of you out there who are struggling with grief, we want you to know that you are not alone and that you have somebody. Because, it does feel lonely sometimes. You feel like you're by yourself. You feel like there's nobody there there's nobody you can relate to. There's nobody that you can say, yes. There's nobody out there that can say, yes, I feel you. I hear you.
I'm going through what you're going through.
Sometimes when I was going through my grief, our big dog, whom my dad loved, my dad would always come home at a certain time, and my dog would wait for him. And now my dog, every day, goes downstairs and waits for him. And the sad part is he won't come home. And my dog will just sit there and wait, hoping he'll come home. And as much as that's sad, it's nice to know that even animals feel the impact of grief. Mm-hmm. You are not alone. You're with company. Mm-hmm. This is kind of an introduction. Now, this is not going to be our official trailer. I'm actually got some ideas. I'm going to shoot some good footage. get some music going, and we'll keep you posted about that. But what you can do for us, share this. Share this with all kinds of people, because this is not just for people who lost somebody to suicide or who lost somebody. It's about grief. It's about struggling.
And mental illness.
And about mental illness. All of which are not talked about very much. It's true. I know that's a cliche thing to say, but let's make it not so cliche by actually talking about it, by actually sharing about it, making it a real thing. Our society likes to make everything, kind of put a nice glamour on everything, sugarcoat everything, even suicide. And we can't do that. We've got to face it at some point. And it hurts, but we can do it. So share this with people. We want you to. That's the best you can do. And honestly, the best, really, it's just talking about it. That's the best you can do. Being open, being real. Be real about how you're feeling. If you feel crappy, let yourself feel crappy.
Quit putting on these masks and pretending that everything's okay when it's not.
Because you know something, for me, this has opened my eyes. And I can now see when people do that. You can't fool me. You can't fool her. And you can, who are you trying to fool? I mean, what's the point?
And why would you?
You could feel a lot better if you talk about it. It's going to make you vulnerable, but it's good. So, we look forward to seeing you guys again. This has been a joy and an honor for me and for Mom. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.